Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. Episode for you. There are 13 articles in this episode, and all the URLs are in the description of the video. Started here with the first one off of sonsoflibertymedia.com, and it says, FSU attorney, state employees, and politicians arrested in high-profile. Roll up here a little bit for us. Well, we can get the ads to go away here. Goodness. Come on. Okay, here we go. And the people continue to think Pizzagate, conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat nonsense. 12 people were arrested mid-February in North Florida in a child sex sting. Were state employees. The page and messenger manager for the Florida House of Representatives, state university attorney, and men, including prominent state university attorney, were arrested during a week-long child predator investigation known as Operation Cupid's Arrow. Tallahassee to Lake City authorities announced on Thursday. And agents from North Florida Internet Crimes Against Children, called the ICAC, investigation. Investigators said they text predators in chat rooms, dating sites, and social media networks using instant messaging, texting, and online classified ads. Suspects came from all backgrounds, workers to attorneys, including the former Associate General Counsel for the Florida State University, who resigned from after the arrest. Ages of the men range from 21 to 70 years of age. Former clinical director of the Indian Health Services Unit in Colville, Washington, was among those arrested. A documented sexual predator in Washington, according to FDLE. The bigger name arrests, like those of a high general counsel for Florida State University and former Army colonel and House Page program manager Michael A. Gained the attention of State Senator Lauren Brooke. Tallahassee was rocked by headlines telling of respected community members caught in the Cupid, a lawyer, a retired doctor, and an individual who works with children as young as 13 in the Capitol building, Brooks said in an email to Democrat. This is shocking, it is terribly disturbing, but it's also too familiar. Say it enough. This happens in all communities, regardless of race, religion, education level, or socioeconomic status. Any child can become a victim, and perpetrators are hiding in plain sight. Chmielewski managed some 200 to 300 pages and ranging from ages of 13 to 18. Kramer resigned his position following the arrest. Both sheriff and FBI agents put criminals who prey upon children on notice. And there's some video in this if you want to pull it up and take a look at that. It's, my word to these folks out there on the internet and mess with our children. In and day out operation. We have continuous operation going 365 days a year. Columbia County Sheriff Mark Hunter said, we are going to continue to do that as long as we have these type of people out there. We are committed to protecting this community, and predators should know that the FBI and our partners will stop at nothing, every available resource to identify and to exploit our children, said Agent Carlton Peoples, Assistant Special Agent in charge of FBI's Jacksonville Division. DLE Special Agent, the Tallahassee Regional Operations Center, said, if you prey on our children, we will find you and arrest you. Also noted the behavior of those interested in people they communicate with being under most adults online immediately stop communicating with these investigators. They said once they believed they were children, the 12 suspects arrested during the operation only became more interested. Of all the men arrested are Tony Sheldon, 38, of Tallahassee, 41 of Live Oak, William Hall, age 64, of West Palm Beach, Calvin McFarland, 21, of Jacksonville, Johnson, age 26, of Lake City, age 34, of Tallahassee, Daryl Harvey, Tallahassee, Matthew Carter, age 33, of Lake Park, Georgia, Sick Preble, age 47, of Snellville, Georgia, Lusky, age 37, of Tallahassee, Dayton Kramer, age 70, of Tallahassee, James Jennings. Each of the men was charged with traveling to meet after using a computer to lure a child and obscene communications computer to seduce or solicit a child. You have that article. We have here something up here I'm trying to get to go away. There we go. This is off of Conservative Tribune, and it says Obamacare repeal and replacement plan gets leaked to the media. Link in this that you can click on to see what they have in mind for the Obamacare. I believe it's 106 pages long. I forget now. No, it's not the billions of pages that they had in the Obamacare. So you want to pull it up and take a look at that. There you go. But I'll read what this article says. It says one of the top items on President Donald Trump's agenda at the moment is repeal and replacement of Obamacare, a vastly complicated piece of legislation that many people agree is broken. The congressional leader promised that Obamacare repeal and replacement bill would be coming after the President's Day recess, and that bill has leaked out, Politico reported. Legislation has many sections that will leave Democrats seething and fiscal conservatives cheering. Would eliminate the individual mandate, one of the most unpopular aspects of Obamacare, as well as subsidies based on income. The bill would also remove all Obamacare taxes and limit medical or Medicaid spending. Obamacare gives out subsidies based on income. In the Republicans' bill, those subsidies would be changed to the person's age. This aspect of the bill would take effect 2020. Starting 2020, the bill would also eliminate the Medicaid expansion under Obamacare. The federal government would cap payments to states instead of the open of now, and those payments would be based on the number of people enrolled in Medicaid per state. With me here, there we go. The proposed legislation would also include $100 billion for state innovation grants to help states cover the cost of those with pre-existing conditions, which make covering them more expensive. Finally, not least, the proposed legislation would cut off all federal funding to organizations that provide abortions. And there is the link that you can click for as it is proposed. A potential problem with this bill is how it is funded. The draft legislation calls for employer-sponsored insurance percentile to be taxed. This is similar to Obamacare's Cadillac tax and popular. This bill Republicans are starting from. Undoubtedly, the final product will look much different, especially after it has been debated in Congress. But for now, we at least know where Republicans are standing on the issue. The article is off of Liberty Writers, and it says 99% of America didn't see the secret thing Trump did as he honored Ryan Owens last night. Chief Ryan Owens was killed in action in Yemen on January the 29th of 2017. He is the first military casualty of President Trump's administration. His wife broke into tears when Donald Trump mentioned his name in front of Congress on Tuesday. Etched in the brains of every single patriot in America. That video, if you happen to miss it when it aired, it's here in this. It says Karen Owens sat near sat near Melania Trump and Ivanka Trump as agent to the president. To be joined tonight by Karen Owens, the widow of U.S. Navy Special Operator Senior Chief William Ryan Owens, Trump stated. As he lived, a warrior and a hero, terrorism and securing our nation. What Trump really did here. According to Thomas Dillingham, Donald Trump performed the first ever posthumous promotion in front of joint session of Congress. That means that President Trump promoted Ryan Owens to senior chief by addressing him this rank. According to Military Times, Ryan was due for a promotion, but was not known before that President Trump would do that. Following about Senior Chief Ryan Owens, Ryan's legacy is etched into eternity. God bless Senior Chief Ryan Owens and his family. God bless this country. So there you have that information. Here's our BizPac review, and it says too late. And tries to belittle Trump's poll results, but Conway and Spicer run with the numbers. Did so well in his first address to Congress that even CNN's own poll could not hide the numbers. According to a CNN RC poll of the president had an overwhelmingly positive reaction to his speech Tuesday addressing a joint session of Congress. A bunch of tweets about it if you want to pull it up to read those. It says White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer and Counselor were impressed enough with the poll results that they shared them in tweets of their own. Spicer's tweet says, in a CNN poll, 78% of POTUS joint address watchers say positive. Policies will move country in the right direction. 69% more optimistic. It says polls from the joint address very positive. Speech watchers say Trump optimism. And the article continues. It says CNN needed to qualify the poll results with an explanation. A survey conducted among a group of Americans who said in the interviews conducted before this, they planned to watch and agreed to be recontacted. Only reflects the views of those who watched the speech, not all Americans. People who chose to watch a political speech such as this one tend to be more speaker. In this case, the pool of speech watchers was about than the population as a whole. Only informed people who watched the speech were reportedly positive to it. But interrupted by bursts of applause, received largely positive viewers, with 7 in 10 saying the speech made them feel more optimistic about the direction of the country. Or for many, the highlight of the address was an emotional tribute to fallen Navy SEAL Ryan Owens. The widow looked heavenward during a more than 2-minute standing ovation. Could not deny the power of the moment, as CNN commentator Van Jones had to admit became the president of the United States. Speech watchers deemed this again. Speech watchers seemed to agree. The poll numbers, according to CNN, backed up the positive reactions. Users couldn't help but wonder how CNN, after its fake news war with president, was going to handle the news. There's a bunch of tweets after this. Grab one here. News Today says breaking, even CNN's instant reaction poll gives soaring marks to President Trump's speech. Here says truth again, based Mel Gibson, they say only Trumpsters watched. One says, and we know the number is even higher for very positive. Wednesday morning, President Trump awoke at his speech and took a moment to express his gratitude on Twitter. And he simply says, the article says, thank you, Mr. President. The next article off BizPac Review says Mike Rowe touts making work cool again on Capitol Hill, and his message could cure a lot of ills. Gaping skills gap to the tune of 5.6 million available jobs, $3 trillion in student loans, and crumbling national infrastructure are all tremendous problems facing our nation. But the drum Mike Rowe has been beating for years, the solution. Former Dirty Jobs host has become something of a champion for the blue-collar folks he worked beside during his tenure on the long-running Discovery Channel show. He took his act to Capitol Hill to testify on the issue before Congress. Rowe appeared on Fox and Friends to discuss the topic. The skills gap is every bit as important as unemployment and the presence of 5.6 million available jobs right now that people don't seem excited about, Rowe said. That thousands of American employers simply can't find qualified candidates to fill the positions. There are a variety of reasons for this, ranging from unreasonable expectations of millennials who think a college degree entitles them to a cushy job account to the welfare state flex of low skilled labor. But the best way to close the gap, according to Rowe, is to make a case for the jobs that actually do exist rather than the ones that simply do not. A sense of completion factor in blue collar professions and can be as rewarding as any desk job. Trained in the trades learn far more than the trade itself. To start a thing and finish a thing, consequences. And of the trade, much as chemistry and welding, that will areas. And a brother's mentality among people who do work that's both important and largely unappreciated. All in sick for a week, the party's over, Rose said. College and thousands of dollars of student loan debt that isn't for everybody, nor should it be. President Trump has made it clear that he would like to see American manufacturing base increase. But first, to Rowe, if you want to make America great again, you got to make work cool again. The first order of business along those lines would be a revival of vocational education in America that would teach American skills, repair our own crumbling infrastructure. And the full interview is here in this if you want to pull it up and take a look at that. The article is off of BizPac Review, and it says Trump Dems by allowing them to humiliate themselves. The outcome: the time for small thinking is over. The time for trivial fights is behind us. President Trump obstructionist Democrats who sat stone-faced during his address as wild applause rained down around him. First joint address to Congress was widely hailed as one of the best speeches, and him as leader who will fight for America from any opponent, foreign or domestic. His ambitious plans to restore America exceptionalism through job creation, enhance national security, and ensure peace through strength by building up the military. Try that again. Even longtime anti-Trumpers like Senator John McCain gave the president numerous standing ovations during his speech. Twitter reacted to Democratic lawmakers' pathetic display of difference by saying Trump allowed the Democrats to humiliate themselves. Said Trump has thoroughly humiliated the Democrats by allowing them to humiliate themselves. Let's see. Called for reform. Like Megan refused to applaud. Won't even applaud a call for support for our military. These think they are. Eric Bolling agreed the Democrats had embarrassed themselves and said he felt vindicated that they showed their true colors. It says, with all this pro-American policy offered and the Dems remaining seated, I'm not angry. I feel vindicated at their virtual. The article says, keep it up, Dems. It's going to be a long 8 years for you guys. And there's a bunch of tweets after this. that talk about how sorry these Democrats are that they ends at the speech. The article says a new Wall Street Journal poll showed that 43% of Americans had positive view of Trump, while only 30% had a positive view of Democrats. Dem leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer scored even lower for their obstructionist antics. There's a little chart here. It says some are still very or somewhat positive towards Donald Trump, 43%, Nancy Pelosi, 19%, Democratic Party, 30%, and Chuck Schumer, 17%. President Trump won the evening with his inspiring patriotic show of leadership and grit. A CNN ORC poll of TV viewers taken right after his speech showed that 78% had a positive response to President Trump's joint address. The next article is off of BizPac Review. Democrats wear white in protest of Trump's joint address turns out to be a very bad decision. And you might want to pull this article up and take a look at some of the pictures in this. I'm going to try to describe it, but it says Democrats tried to troll President Trump during his joint address, but the stunt backfired bigly. Democratic congresswomen wore white to show their commitment to protecting women's rights. White was the color worn by the suffragette movement, women's right to vote. Before the speech, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi promised that the Democrats' cheap stunt to embarrass Trump will be very dignified, which they didn't plan to wear vagina hats or tampon earrings. But white fashion statement morphed into a hilarious meme that mocked Democrats as white supremacist Ku Klux Klan members. And they've got a picture here that they took of the people in the gallery at the speech, and what they did is they took all the women that were wearing white dresses and they photoshopped Ku Klux Klan attire. And my goodness, there's some tweets and stuff in this. I'm not going to read all these, but the article says Twitter users said since Democratic Party started the KKK, it's only fitting that they went back to their roots. And then here's a picture of all these women that wore white. I guess they had their picture taken before they were all gathered together. And then right below that is a picture of a bunch of hooded KKK members. And this is in a tweet from somebody calling themselves Tennessee, and it says, the Democrats wearing white tonight, ironic because they also started the KKK. A picture that's very similar. It says, Democrats wore one address tonight. Are they returning to their party's wicked ways? Just saying. And then there's another picture of the KKK with a cross burning in the background. It says, Democrats love wearing white. There's a bunch more. I'm not going to go through all of these, but while libs spent the afternoon coordinating their outfits, President Trump signed 2 laws promoting women's careers in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Of that, conservative commentator Dana Loesch Dems to behold the true face of strength, Karen Owens, the widow of slain Navy SEAL Ryan Owens. Video in this of Trump's speech. Look at that. The next one's off of BizPac Review. Pratt rebuttal to President Trump's epic speech couldn't have gone better for Trump. Did President Donald Trump a favor by picking former Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear to give the party's rebuttal to the president's joint sessions speech. The former governor, who was defeated by Republican Matt Bevin, had a stark contrast to an energetic, charismatic president, and apparently he forgot which party he belongs to. I'm a proud Democrat, but first and foremost, I'm a proud, Beshear said before making a quick save, mostly American. He's It says this, if you want to take a look at it, it says, but even putting aside that apparent slip or odd attempt reach across the aisle, social media roasted the choice of Bashir, a 72-year-old who is virtually unknown, to give the rebuttal. And there's some tweets in this. One says, I just bought gold, silver, and a reverse mortgage from this guy. Another one says, old, bitter, boring, unpatriotic, clueless, and whiny. Down a little bit here. One says, Democrats claim to be the party of diversity, but lately they've been represented by rich old white people. The article says, from the South, even. I'll grab a couple more of them here. One says, is this really the Dems' best shot at getting blue-collar workers back? Jeez. Another one, it has a picture of Steve Harvey looking really surprised. It says, nothing says Democratic response like a person not even in office. It says, excited for this fresh new face of the Democratic Party. So there you have that article. Next one's off of Liberty Writers. Met with a group of soldiers yesterday and gave them something they'll never forget. Loves the United States military. He said so during his campaign. He said so when he became president, and he has done so much to make it clear to the American people that his loyalties lie with our fighting men and women. He has vowed to build up America's military and to overhaul the broken VA system. That it feels great to have a president that fights for those that fight for our freedoms in other places. According to a newly released report, showed his true feelings for the military. President Trump met with a class of Green Beret candidates inside the Oval Office, says Breitbart. Military, look at the way he salutes them, saluting the troops. It says Trump said to the Green Berets, hey, we're not supposed to do this, but follow me. And he brought them all into the Oval Office, took a group photograph around the Resolute desk, the schedules into a bit of a tizzy, said, okay, that's not good enough. The president, Sebastian Gorka, said about the incident, this was the Green Berets were allowed inside the Oval Office. Nothing like this has ever happened under Obama. He said, everybody stand in the corner. They all stood in the corner, and one by one, we took photographs to their family with each future Green Beret next to the president at the Oval Office desk, Gorka explained. Media lie about Trump. Our military men and women love Donald Trump. And so there's that. And the next one's off of Liberty Writers, and it says, Donald Trump just exposed massive scandal Democrats were hoping nobody would ever discover. It was a big day for the Democrats. They got to pick the DNC to lead them for the next few years. Okay, well, that's not entirely the truth. Donald Trump just exposed a massive scandal that will shake their party to the very core. To pick the new head of the DNC, not the Democratic Party, President Trump tweeted. Tweet here says, the race for DNC chairman was, of course, totally rigged. Bernie's guy, like Bernie himself, never had a chance. Clinton demanded Perez. Percent right, though. Since 1998, Tom Perez has been just another Clinton goon to the end of the failing Clinton administration. And he managed to receive support from Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Barack Obama. Ellison was supported by Bernie Sanders. Appointed the second in command, but that's just their way of shutting up Bernie to try and take back the party. What does this mean for Democrats? Well, probably another Hillary Clinton for president run. Could be a nightmare for America. Nothing could be better for President Trump. After all, everyone freaking hates Hillary. So once again, Saudi Arabia, George Soros money has managed to buy DNC chair election. My guess is we are just going to see more of the same failed strategies as before under Perez. But hey, let's give the Democrats a hand welcoming their new leader by sharing this embarrassing set of facts all over social media. Article is off of Liberty Writers. Oh my God, watch Nancy Pelosi lose her mind on TV and say one thing that'll totally ruin her. It's possible, but let's see what the article says. Yawn. All these Democrats make me want to do is yawn, yawn, yawn. Nancy Pelosi has now started calling Trump the deflector in chief. He deflected the question by saying 4 different times that Trump has no jobs bill. Are there any issues where you feel you can still work with the president? In November, you talked about infrastructure. Trump, talked about perhaps a $1 trillion. We don't know if he's going to propose one on Tuesday. Is that something that Democrats can get behind? Out, whole loony, toony Nancy says, well, let's just talk about that for a moment because I call him the deflector in chief. He has no jobs bill. I talked about President Obama in the first 4 million jobs. He has no jobs bill. So he's got to talk about the press. He has no jobs bill. So he has to talk about kids, transgender kids in school bill. So he has to talk about immigrants and have a ban on Muslims coming into the country. He has no jobs bill 4 times. Trump has a jobs plan. You can see it on his website. Here's what it says. Back on track, President Trump has outlined a bold plan to create 25 million new American jobs in the next decade and return to 4% annual economic growth. The plan starts with the pro-growth tax reform to help American workers and businesses keep more of their hard-earned dollars. The president's plan to lower tax rates, or well, just says rates, to lower rates for Americans in every tax bracket. Tax code reduce the U.S. corporate tax rate, highest in the world. Fixing a tax code that is outdated, overly complex, and too erroneous will unleash America's economy, creating millions of new jobs and boosting economic growth. Long job creator and businessman, the president also knows how important it is to get Washington out of the way of America's small businesses, entrepreneurs, and workers. In 2015 alone, federal regulations cost the American economy more than $2 trillion. That is why the president has proposed a moratorium on new federal regulations and is ordering the heads of federal agencies and departments to identify job-killing regulations healed. And apparently, read or, well, Obamacare, didn't we? She had to pass it so she could find out what's in it. And it says, let's get this out there so Nancy can see what Trump's job plan says. Sure, you could even explain it to her. The next one here is off of Liberty Writers. It says, media blackout. Trump just saved the lives of 1,500 women and children, and the media is silent. Media has been obsessed with President Trump, and they go out of their way to pick apart every single word he says. What they don't do is tell the truth about how he is helping the country. Since President Donald Trump has been sworn in on January the 20th, authorities have arrested a number of sexual predators involved in child sex trafficking rings in the United States. President Trump has cracked down on sex trafficking in a way no president has done before. There has been an unbelievable 1,500 plus arrests in one short month in office. Compare that to less than 400 sex trafficking related arrests in 2014, according to the FBI. Been concerned with this issue for years. Even when Obama was in office, he demanded America make it a priority. On October the 8th of 2012, Trump tweeted, got to do something about these missing children grabbed by perverts. Too many incidents, fast trial, death penalty. Trump addressed sex trafficking at a press conference on February the 23rd. He called it a dire problem and said, men and women across the federal government have focused on this for some time. As you know, it's been much more focused over the last 4 weeks. If President Obama helped save lives like this, it would liberal media talked about. Here are just a couple of this past month. Authorities arrested 42 in a human trafficking operation in Tennessee. Authorities announced 74 were arrested in a statewide California human trafficking operation, and 28 sexually exploited children were rescued. 8 were arrested in Illinois as part of a national sex trafficking sting operation. 178 people were arrested in Texas for trafficking in a sting that operated in January till Super Bowl Sunday. 16 people were arrested in January in Michigan for sex trafficking during the Detroit Auto Show. Authorities arrested 11 in Virginia while the mainstream media breaks stories about whether or not Trump wears a bathrobe, our president is focusing on protecting children from being raped. Our president and our police deserve recognition for this. Media won't give it to them. We should. The next article that I have for you is off of Natural News. It says, mandatory memory wipe, California Senate Bill number 86. Richard Pan, Democrat, architect of California's notorious SB 277 vaccination. Today proposed SB 86, which calls for mandatory erasure of all pain, thoughts, and emotions from the memory banks of all school-age children. Proponents of the bill seek to protect children, but critics who dub it the mandatory memory wipe believe it's a diabolical scheme to plunge society further into more dimly lit regions of the dark side. Many believe is unreasonably dangerous. If it becomes law, SB 86 will require mandatory elimination, eradication, and removal of all brain matter that may contain painful memories, thoughts, or emotions that might cause potential harm to children. Ironically, jargon, the term to 86 something means to eliminate, eradicate, or remove it. The bill does not allow for children to opt out of the procedure. Children of state lawmakers and judges who may opt out. The bill recognizes no medical exemptions. Under the bill, actual wiping procedure is deemed to be bent, and therefore informed consent is not required, nor is a medical license for the state to administer the wipe. Critics are quick to remark that SB 86 feels a bit like Orwell's 1984, in which the protagonist, Mr. Smith, works at the government's propaganda agency, the Ministry of Truth, which they humorously call Mr. Smith's job is to rewrite newspaper articles so they conform to the current political landscape. Past controls the future. In a future world where nobody remembers that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves or that George Washington chopped down the cherry tree, then factually speaking, these events never occurred. They ceased to exist. Soon, nobody will remember that back in the 50s and 60s, many brave American mothers measles parties. Sadly, over time, the wisdom and success of these parties may eventually go extinct, especially if internet search engines continue to display nothing but industry slanted search results, which unanimously warn against the supposed dangers of measles parties. Medical protocol once considered it harmful to vaccinate a child with eczema. Sadly, modern pediatricians have forgotten this former protocol, and it may soon go extinct because CDC no longer objects to vaccinating children with eczema. Today, too few people remember that smallpox met its demise, not by vaccines or indoor plumbing. The once deadly variola virus simply fizzled itself out after having mutated into variola minor, smallpox, which was then pronounced eradicated a few decades later. A hypodermic syringe is inserted into the inner ear. Are not injected but extracted. The syringe extracts from certain memory substances, which then exit the body as a foamy goo. a slimy jelly-like substance that was once the patient's memories, thoughts, and emotions. Because the procedure targets the temporal lobe, it extracts only long-term memories while leaving short-term memories intact, thus allowing children to continue performing their daily routines. But the question arises, after extracting the gelatinous, which holds the children's deepest, darkest memories, what will the state then do with it? Safely dispose of it? Store it in liquid nitrogen? Or harvest the memory, or harvest the foamy goo for nefarious medical research? And I guess it could be argued that, oh, well, that would never happen. Guess what? They passed the Obamacare bill without reading it so they could see what's in it. Anything's possible. For you in this episode, if you like what I'm doing here, share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Informed.